The sun had barely set, and old man Kai sat on his wooden chair, leaning back, his eyes lost in thought, a deep contemplation etched on his face. For a long time, the servants in his house had grown used to seeing him sitting there, pondering, sometimes pacing back and forth, his gaze heavy with unspoken worries. Kai was born into a wealthy family, a landlord and affluent householder, inheriting vast riches. People even said that the cradle he lay in as a baby was woven with paper money, so much money that the servants never had to worry about a thing. For generations, the Kai family had never concerned themselves with food or clothing. Their days were spent sleeping, waking up, and then sitting down to count their money. Everyone thought such a man would live a carefree life, lacking nothing. But with his immense wealth came the envy and jealousy of many and the deep resentment of most villagers. The Kai family had been rich for generations, never truly respecting anyone. They even demanded that every servant in their household address them with formal titles, sir and madam, or face being captured and beat. In those days, a righteous, virtuous person unblinded by wealth was rare, a mere minority. Consequently, the majority of the villagers lived in destitution, oppressed by the rich who knew no pity. Wherever they went, if they encountered someone from Old Man Kai's household, they had to bow their heads low. No one dared to look them in the eye, fearing they'd fall into their crosshairs. Essentially, they just wanted to live in peace and get through the day. If they didn't attract the attention of those powerful people, nothing bad would happen. Life continued this way until Old Man Kai's generation, still living in luxury. His house was teeming with servants, and he had no need to worry about anything. However, people say that heaven has eyes, and those who live without virtue are bound to face their karma. That karma, after many generations, began to descend upon the Kai family, starting with Old Man Kai's grandfather. Previously, the family lineage always boasted dozens of children, mostly sons, as it was a time when sons were valued and daughters disdained. But by Old Man Kai's grandfather's generation, things began to change. Despite their noble lineage and endless wealth, his grandfather only managed to father one son and one daughter, and no matter how hard they tried, no more children followed. Tragically, the next generation only produced one child, Old Man Kai himself. Thus, the responsibility of carrying on the family name now rested entirely on his shoulders. And then, as if by fate, wicked and unvirtuous individuals must pay for their sins. Nearing his 50s, Old Man Kai still had no heir. Despite his efforts over the years, taking a new concubine every few months, his concubines now outnumbered his fingers. Yet, the child he desired most had not appeared. No sons were born, only daughters. He was forced to witness the jealousy and animosity among his concubines. The house was constantly filled with arguments, leaving him utterly fed up, yet he couldn't simply chase them all away. Deep down, Old Man Kai wanted to kick all these women out of his house. But partly, he feared losing face, being branded by others as a man who only valued wives for their ability to bear children. He knew that the villagers only outwardly respected him and called him sir. Behind his back, they whispered and slandered him. He even overheard people saying things like, "For generations, they've plundered the people, always strutting around. Now that evil, heartless man, he's getting old and can't even produce a child. Heaven has eyes. If he weren't here, maybe we could finally lift our heads." Hearing these words infuriated Old Man Kai, but he knew arguing with them would only bring more shame. He sat for a moment, reflecting on his life, wondering if his own callousness, or perhaps the cruelty of his ancestors, had led him to this predicament. If he couldn't have a son, this family line would officially end. While early generations had many sons, later ones primarily produced daughters. No matter how many more children were born, they were still daughters. Only very rarely was a son born. And now, Old Man Kai was the last surviving male of that wealthy family. Because of this, having a child, specifically a son, became extremely important to Old Man Kai. People often whispered that he was nearing 50, yet he still fervently pursued his wives almost every night. But the results were always the same. Children for him were a perfect zero. In his younger, crueler days, Old Man Kai would often go out to find trouble, tormenting one person after another. But in recent years, he rarely did such things, focusing solely on finding a way to have an heir. Physicians from all over were often invited to his home to help him conceive, but everyone shook their heads. After many years, Old Man Kai was now old, his hair mostly gray. His skin showed signs of aging. Occasionally, people saw him in this state, and most showed no pity. While the desire to be a parent is sacred, for him, it was met with derision. People secretly rejoiced that the Kai family was about to become extinct. It seemed they feared the next generation of that family would be born, and the cycle of oppression would repeat endlessly. And Old Man Kai's desperate efforts seemed to be in vain. One day, an old man appeared at his gate, claiming he only wanted a good meal. If he received it, he promised to help Old Man Kai have a child, a son, specifically. People say that when one is desperate, they try everything. Old Man Kai was truly at his wit's end, almost having given up hope. So when the old man spoke, he immediately trusted him and ordered a lavish meal. Not long after, a table laden with food was set. Anyone who didn't know would think a distinguished guest was visiting. But no, all that food was for the old man, who looked like a beggar. Even Old Man Kai didn't understand what he was doing or why he believed this man's words. Watching the old man eat, Kai wondered if this was just a clever beggar, bold enough to claim he could help him have a son just to get a meal. Despite his doubts, as if compelled by an unseen force, Old Man Kai remained still until the old man finished eating, then asked, "I have prepared everything you asked for, and you have eaten. Now about that matter." "Of course, I made a promise and I will keep it," the old man replied. "The food was delicious, I am very grateful. But may I ask, why did you not doubt me? Why did you readily do as I asked? Aren't you afraid I would trick you?" The question hit Old Man Kai's deepest thoughts, leaving him stammering, a bit distressed. Because you will help me." The old man chuckled unexpectedly, then looked Old Man Kai straight in the eyes and said, "Actually, my purpose in coming here was to help you, but of course, I have my own motives. If you can fulfill my request, I will help you get what you desire." What is it? "Half of your current fortune, what do you say?" Hearing the condition the old man put forth, Old Man Kai felt his limbs go numb. He had never dared to give a single coin to an outsider in his life. Even his household servants were meticulously accounted for down to the last penny. And now, someone wanted half of his wealth. As Old Man Kai stood there stunned, the other man stroked his beard and chuckled. "If you don't agree, I'll consider this meal a charity, and I'll take my leave." Old Man Kai saw the old man preparing to leave and immediately thought, this is his trick. He snarled, "Are you trying to trick me? Grab this old man, give him a good beating." The old man, hearing this, showed no fear. He merely shook his head. "I never tricked you. It's just that you won't agree to my request." Regardless of what the old man said, Old Man Kai's henchmen rushed forward, intending to seize and drag him away. But as soon as they touched him, with a flash, they suddenly fell to the ground, writhing in excruciating pain. The henchmen lay convulsing, their eyes wide with terror on the floor, making Old Man Kai very afraid. Not knowing what was happening, he stammered, Old man, what are you trying to do?" "I don't want to do anything but help you get what you want. As long as you meet my demands, you will surely have your wish," the old man calmly replied. "But how can I trust your words?" "Because you have no other choice but to trust my words. Otherwise, don't even dream of having children in this life, let alone a son. Do you think that with the heavy karma you and your ancestors have accumulated, it can be undone? Choose, believe or not believe. Otherwise, get out of my way." By now, the henchmen's pain had subsided somewhat. They didn't know what had happened, but as soon as they recovered, they quickly scurried to one side, not daring to make a sound. Even as the old man walked past them, they trembled uncontrollably, sweat pouring from them as if they'd just bathed. But what happened next frightened them even more. Old Man Kai's voice. I believe you. You want to help me, then I agree to your terms." Old Man Kai nodded frantically. The old man replied, "That's good. Rest assured, I will only take my payment once you achieve what you desire. Is that acceptable?" Hearing this, Old Man Kai felt a knot in his stomach loosen, and his demeanor immediately changed. He invited the old man to stay. That very night, Old Man Kai didn't even bother with his wives. He rushed to the old man's room to ask what he needed to do. The old man said his name was Mo, a physician and sorcerer skilled in many healing arts. First, Dr. Mo examined Old Man Kai briefly, then spoke gravely. Indeed, I see your chances of having children are slim, even hopeless. Ordinary remedies will have no effect. Then I can't have children. No, I only said ordinary remedies won't work. But there is a special medicine that can help, though it's quite difficult to find. Then I'll send people to get it for you, Master. No matter how rare it is, I'll find it for you. Is there anything else I can do? The medicine I speak of is not medicine as you think. It is a very special kind, not something you can simply wish for, nor something that can be found with money. Old Man Kai looked bewildered, then stammered. Then what is it? What kind of thing is it that money can't buy? As I said, the karma of your family and your ancestors is very heavy. You yourself have surely been cursed by others many times. They say that this family finds it increasingly difficult to have children, all because of karmic retribution. Forgive my bluntness, but that is the real reason. The karma is too heavy, and this family must pay the price. I will help you escape that. And if you escape this time, you and your descendants will never have to worry about such things again. Do you trust me? Normally, if anyone dared to speak to him like that, Old Man Kai would immediately make them pay. But not this time. Although a little angry, he sighed and bowed his head. I've thought so too. Although this family is still wealthy and lives in luxury, I myself feel that my lineage is beginning to wither. My grandfather's generation had many siblings, but almost all of them only had daughters, who grew up and left to become daughters-in-law in other families, like discarded goods. Only my grandfather had one son and one daughter, and that son was my father. And now, it's my generation. Dr. Mo nodded sagely. Everything has its cause and effect. However, it is rather late for you to harbor resentment now. By natural course, your family line would surely become extinct, despite changing your way of life. Then what must I do to have a chance at a child? Are you truly helping me, or do you intend to bring me more despair? I've already told you. There is a medicine that can help you achieve your wish, only it means the karma you've created will be entirely different from before. The work of blood-stained hands. Do you understand what I mean? You mean I have to kill someone? Yes, but the people you kill are not ordinary people. They must be pregnant women in their first month of pregnancy, without error, and the number of people you must kill is 100. Each person who falls means 1 cup of medicine I create. When you have consumed 100 cups, you will immediately have a child. That is why I say this medicine is not something you can just have, or something you can buy with money. At this, Old Man Kai shuddered. Throughout his life, despite his cruel nature and frequent troubles with others, killing 100 people was something he had never imagined. As his dream of an heir clashed with this gruesome reality, Dr. Mo spoke. Are you afraid then? If you are, I will leave tomorrow. Consider the meal you gave me as alms. No, don't leave, I'll do it just. As long as it works, I'll do it. Then you must do exactly as I instruct. After that, muffled whispers filled the small room. No one knew what the two men were discussing. But from that day on, an entire region was shaken as pregnant women began to mysteriously disappear. Girls who had just conceived vanished one after another, leaving the people across the 4 regions living in fear. They didn't know who was causing this, but it seemed they were no ordinary humans. In just over 3 months, more than 10 pregnant women had disappeared, a truly alarming number. The district governor ordered an investigation, as every few days someone would report a missing family member, and the common thread was always women who were pregnant. For nearly 4 months, the mysterious disappearances continued despite warnings to the public. But the governor's investigation yielded no results. They only knew that the culprits' targets were women in their first month of pregnancy, and they usually disappeared around noon, the hour of the horse. If it hadn't happened right in their own region, no one would have believed that a living, breathing person could vanish so easily in broad daylight. Relatives of the missing reported that at that time, their minds would become hazy. They said they weren't asleep, but they didn't know what was happening. And when they came to, their family members were gone. 4 months passed since the first girl disappeared, and now nearly 20 were gone. The people lived in panic and terror. For Old Man Kai, every day was the same. He always seemed anxious during those hours, wondering if a new victim would be found. Only after the hour of the horse would he return to his room to rest, or a voice would echo in his head. It's done. You will soon have your medicine. Old man Kai's recent demeanor did not escape the suspicion of his servants. Some even speculated that the disappearance of pregnant women was connected to him, but no one had any proof. As for Dr. Mo, he lived in Old Man Kai's house, ostensibly treating the master's illness, so no one knew of the dark deeds they were both involved in. Today was no different. It had been more than 10 days without a new victim, and Old Man Kai was extremely agitated. Dr. Mo had said that if the next dose of medicine was taken too long after the previous one, its effectiveness would decrease, so Old Man Kai couldn't help but worry. As he sat tapping his fingers on the chair, he suddenly sat bolt upright, his eyes gleaming with joy as he heard the familiar voice in his mind. It's done. Come to the cellar. You will have your medicine. Old Man Kai's face brightened, a sight that would normally make anyone happy. But out there, it was different. A man now rushed out of his house, frantically searching in all directions, eyes red with anger, his mouth muttering, "Wife, where are you? My wife is gone. Everyone quickly help me find my wife. She's pregnant." An old woman from the house also rushed out, tears streaming down her face, wailing in pain, prompting neighbors to hurry over. Hearing her cries, they understood the problem. Everyone was stunned because, until now, no one had actually witnessed a disappearance while awake and moving about in their homes, and the houses were all packed tightly together. Yet, a person had gone out and vanished without a trace. They said to each other in alarm, "My goodness, if the girl went out, I surely would have seen her. I've been sitting here sewing at the door all this time." "If you were busy sewing, how could you have seen her? Maybe she went out and you weren't paying attention." "But my house is almost directly opposite. If she stepped outside, I would have seen her instantly. How could I not have noticed?" "Why are you all arguing? Quickly, help her mother and son search for the girl. Hurry, or it will be too late." The entire village joined the search. Cries and wails filled the air. Normally, people would only assume a girl had run away. But during this period, many strange things were happening. Moreover, the person who disappeared was a pregnant woman in her first month, just like the others before her, so they immediately knew. Throughout that afternoon, Old Man Kai was well aware of what was happening, but his face had now utterly transformed into one of ruthless indifference, devoid of any shred of human nature. At this point, with everything at stake, Old Man Kai only cared about his goal, having a child. Tonight, knowing he had work to do, he intentionally stayed alone in his private room, not with any of his wives. And at the appointed hour, he quietly left his room and slipped outside, his movements extremely furtive, even though he was in his own mansion. Everyone else was already asleep. He crept towards a patch of ground behind the garden, bending down to observe his surroundings. With a slight tap of his finger on something, a clanking sound echoed. Old Man Kai heard a voice from below. "Come, Kai, come down quickly." Old Man Kai immediately lifted a trapdoor and stepped down a ladder. This was an underground tunnel that had been dug long ago, known to no one. The first person he saw was Dr. Mo. The other two, younger men, wore only trousers, their bare chests displaying bulging muscles and fierce, bulging eyes that would send shivers down anyone's spine. Old Man Kai had accompanied these two men many times, but he still couldn't help but feel a chill when he looked into their eyes. These were the two men Dr. Mo had brought, who stayed in the cellar all day and were the only ones who knew their secret. Old Man Kai bowed his head, looking at the master, implicitly asking what to do. Dr. Mo spoke up. "She's here, very fresh." Beside Old Man Kai, he saw a young girl naked, with a soft, youthful body lying there. The main subject of this gruesome ritual had arrived. Dr. Mo immediately signaled Old Man Kai to do his part. Old Man Kai instantly extended his index finger. Dr. Mo took a needle and pricked the tip of his finger, drawing blood. But Old Man Kai showed no pain. He was used to it by now. Immediately after, the two men forced open the girl's mouth, and Dr. Mo dripped a few drops of fresh blood into her mouth. The girl's limbs convulsed for a moment, then stopped. Dr. Mo examined her quickly, then gestured. "All right, do it." The two men, obeying his command, immediately used a knife to open the girl's belly. But she only struggled slightly. She absolutely did not wake up or utter a single sound. Her face gradually turned pale, and it was clear she was enduring unimaginable pain. The knife plunged into her abdomen, causing blood to gush out, splattering onto the faces of the two men. They showed no emotion, continuing their gruesome work with swift, decisive movements. Only old man Kai had to turn his face away. Though he didn't see it, he was still drenched in sweat, unable to escape the nightmare of what was happening. The two men continued their work until they extracted something sticky and blood-soaked from her womb. It was a tiny, indistinct shape, completely covered in red blood. "Master, I've got it." "Excellent, you two are truly trustworthy. You've never disappointed me. Let me just tell him what's happening to you too." The two men bowed. Dr. Mo then put the small object into a bowl and said, "There's still one more thing." The two men immediately understood and, without hesitation, plunged a sharp knife into the woman's most sensitive area, causing her to shriek in sudden, sharp pain, then collapse, her eyes wide open and unblinking. She died a painful death, a death known only to the four individuals in that dark, secret cellar. As the men pulled the knife out, a stream of fresh blood flowed out. The other man immediately took another bowl to collect some, then handed it to Dr. Mo. He nodded with satisfaction. "That's enough. Just one more step." "It's done." The old man carefully placed the two bowls, one containing the fetus and the other the woman's blood, onto a nearby table. Dr. Mo then began to chant. After that, he took out two talismans, burned them and dropped them into the bowl of blood. Finally, he put the tiny fetus in and mixed everything together, creating a bizarre and repulsive concoction. He picked it up and handed it to Old Man Kai, speaking in a chilling voice. "The medicine is ready. Drink it quickly." He didn't know how many times he had held this concoction, but Old Man Kai's hands still trembled violently. "What's wrong, sir? Drink it. The longer you wait, the less effective it becomes. Don't you remember what I told you?" "Why, yes, master, I'll drink it right away." Just looking at it made him nauseous, but Old Man Kai pinched his nose, closed his eyes, and poured the vile liquid quickly into his mouth, swallowing it. As the foul taste hit his esophagus, his whole body convulsed. Dr. Mo, standing beside him, urged him, making him force the concoction down. "Come on." In the dark, deep cellar, sinister laughter echoed, marking the moment Old Man Kai completely consumed the contents of the cup. He quickly drank another bowl of water to prevent himself from vomiting. He breathed heavily, his forehead drenched in sweat. Dr. Mo asked, "Are you all right?" Old Man Kai waved his hand. "Yes, I'm fine. Thank you, master. Is it done?" Dr. Mo nodded. "It's done. You may leave. Be careful not to let anyone see you. I'll tidy up here and then leave." Old Man Kai nodded, then left the cellar. Dr. Mo remained, instructing the two young men, "You too, clean this place up carefully. If you need anything, let me know. Absolutely do not leave this place on your own. Understand?" The two men nodded in agreement. Dr. Mo then left, while the two men returned to the girl's corpse, inspecting it, then nodded at each other, signaling. One of them approached a wall in the cellar. It immediately opened, revealing a dark void behind it. No one knew what was inside, but a large black cat suddenly darted out, letting out a piercing shriek that made the men jump. "Oh my God, what was that?" They both quickly followed the animal's shadow, and when they realized it was just a black cat, they sighed in relief. "Damn it, a cat." "How long has it been in there?" The man who opened the door collapsed to the ground, panting. "That was terrifying. I almost had a heart attack. I thought it had gotten in when someone opened the door without paying attention. No, that's impossible." After composing himself for a moment, the man dared to stand up. Inside the now open door, the light from the outside room revealed scattered bodies on the floor. They were covered in the stench of decay, almost in a state of advanced decomposition. The man near the door quickly said, "Quickly, close it. I can't stand it anymore." The other immediately picked up the freshly dead girl's corpse and carried it into the sealed room inside. They quickly closed the door, trapping the putrid smell within, preventing it from escaping. Time passed like this. The number of missing people was no longer in the tens, but in the hundreds, yet everything remained a mystery. Until almost half a year later, the day Old Man Kai had been waiting for finally arrived. It was the day he consumed the 100th cup of medicine made by the sorcerer. After he drank it, Dr. Mo laughed and declared, "It's a success. It's definitely a success. Tonight, go back and do what you need to do. You will surely receive good news." Old Man Kai was both nervous and anxious, wondering if, after all this waiting and trusting the old man, his wish would truly be granted. And then, some time later, his first wife announced she was pregnant. This news made him ecstatic. He rushed to his knees, profusely thanking Dr. Mo. His wife, too, was grateful, believing Dr. Mo had helped them conceive. Approximately 9 months and 10 days after the first wife officially became pregnant, Old Man Kai's first child was born. He wept tears of joy. It was then that Dr. Mo claimed his payment and left. It was half of Old Man Kai's fortune, but to him now, that was nothing compared to having this precious child. Dr. Mo even offered to take more, but he simply said he had taken exactly what he promised, then left, his whereabouts unknown. It could be said that Old Man Kai was usually cruel to everyone, but he was incredibly indulgent with the child he had struggled so much to have. The baby quickly became used to having his father by his side, always smiling when he saw him. Because of this, many even noticed a change in Old Man Kai's temperament. He was no longer as irritable as before. One night, as he lay asleep, Old Man Kai suddenly heard his child crying loudly. In the early days, it was common for newborns to cry at night, but there had also been many nights when it didn't happen, so Old Man Kai found it a little strange and worrisome. The first wife heard the baby cry and was about to get up, but he stopped her. "No, you just sleep. I'll go check on him. He might wake up and not see me." Hearing this, his wife nodded and lay back down. Old Man Kai put on his slippers and went to the baby's side. The cradle was placed in an adjoining room, which he had ordered built after his wife gave birth, separated by only a curtain. He pushed aside the curtain. The crying baby suddenly went silent. Old Man Kai was surprised, wondering, he was just crying. Did he know I was coming and stopped? As he spoke, he moved closer to the baby. Old Man Kai looked into the cradle and saw the baby's eyes closed as if he were sound asleep. "My child, you're sleeping soundly, aren't you? Are you not hungry?" He knew his child was fine, but Old Man Kai was still bewildered because he had clearly just heard the baby's cries, yet they had vanished instantly. In the other room, his first wife, seeing her husband gone for so long, worried about the baby. "What's wrong, dear? Is he hungry? Let me go feed him." Old Man Kai stammered in response to his wife's question. "Oh no, the baby's sleeping now. I'm sure he's fine, dear." He had barely finished speaking when Old Man Kai flinched again, hearing his child's cries erupt once more. However, if one listened closely, the first wife also heard it. This time the baby cried and his wife only asked, then fell silent. Old Man Kai, his throat trembling, turned to look at the cradle. The child had woken up. His tiny hands were flailing, but he wasn't crying, he was simply letting out a cheerful gurgling laugh. The baby squirmed continuously, laughing to himself in the cradle. Old Man Kai stood there, rooted to the spot, utterly bewildered. Just as he was about to jump again in fright, someone suddenly grabbed his shoulder. "Oh, you scared me. What are you doing, dear? You almost gave me a heart attack." "Oh, are you two still saying he's asleep when he's awake? He's probably hungry. You go back to sleep. I'll feed him," his wife scolded him. Old Man Kai muttered something and quickly returned to the other room. He saw a curtain. His first wife, for some reason, opened the room's window, letting moonlight stream in. She then sat beside the cradle, picked up the baby, and unbuttoned her shirt to breastfeed. Lying on the bed nearby, Old Man Kai couldn't close his eyes and kept looking towards the other side. Through the soft, hazy curtain, illuminated by the moonlight, he only saw the dark silhouettes of the mother and child sitting there peacefully. Then he saw his wife gently swaying her body, though her actions were those of a mother rocking her child. A lullaby began to softly hum in the room, making it eerie and ominous. The sound became hazy, and Old Man Kai strained his ears but couldn't make out what she was singing. He didn't know if it was sleepiness or something else, but his mind gradually became clouded after the lullaby. He felt himself spinning. All he could clearly see was the silhouette of the woman holding the baby in the other room, through the curtain. The figure initially seemed familiar, but then gradually became strange. Old Man Kai thought the person standing there was a young girl, even the lullaby echoing so eerily. He lay motionless, unable to stir, though his eyes remained wide open. Then he saw the woman lift the baby and bring it before her face. The two dark silhouettes, illuminated by the moonlight, reflected clearly in Old Man Kai's eyes. The baby at that moment was still moving its limbs, letting out a few giggles. But to his horror, the one holding it suddenly lifted it high and slammed it hard onto the ground. Old Man Kai, seeing this, screamed and bolted upright. His mind cleared, becoming fully awake. His eyes trembled violently as he had just witnessed his own child being thrown to the ground. He shrieked in uncontrolled terror, "No, stop, what are you doing to my child?" As he screamed, Old Man Kai lunged towards the other room. His first wife also flinched, quickly pulling her shirt back. "Who are you?" "Oh, it's just you, dear," she said, terrified. "You scared me. I thought someone had broken into the room. What's wrong? Why are you jumping up from sleep and yelling like a madman?" Old Man Kai stopped, staring at his wife, seeing the mother and child completely normal. The baby had just finished breastfeeding and was fast asleep again. What is it? "Go back to sleep, dear. Those silly dreams. Let me watch over the baby tonight. It's getting late and things are getting troublesome." Seeing his child safe and sound, Old Man Kai was relieved, thinking it was just a vivid dream. But it had been truly terrifying. His hands and feet still trembled, remembering the scene of his child being violently thrown from above. The next morning, before going out, Old Man Kai instructed his servants, "You all stay home and keep an eye on the young master, understand? If anything happens to him, don't blame me." The servants bowed and quickly went about their duties. By mid-morning, they quietly told each other to check on the first wife to see if she needed anything. A maid called out, "Madame, are you in your room? May I come in?" There was no reply. Assuming the mistress wasn't in the room, the maid was about to leave when Old Man Kai's concubine Lian approached. "What are you standing there for?" she asked the maid. "Sir told me to check on the young master frequently. I came, but Madame isn't in her room." Concubine Lian looked at the maid and nodded. "In that case, go do something else, quickly." The maid quickly bowed and left, while Concubine Lian stood there, waiting until no one was around, then slowly pushed open the door to the room. The door wasn't latched, only pushed shut, so she figured she could sneak in. Ever since the first wife became pregnant and gave birth, Old Man Kai had paid less attention to Concubine Lian, and she harbored deep jealousy towards the first wife. She knew that she and the other concubines were married to Old Man Kai merely to bear children, but still, she was officially a wife. She felt envious, so she took advantage of the first wife's absence to do something. She quickly approached the cradle. The baby was indeed lying peacefully inside. Concubine Lian looked at him with angry eyes, always thinking that she should have been the one to bear Old Man Kai's child. Concubine Lian reached into the cradle, picked up the baby, which caused his eyes to open. She expected him to cry loudly, but he didn't. The child just looked at her with innocent eyes, his hands and feet flailing, giggling. The boy didn't cry, he laughed. Concubine Lian was utterly annoyed, her anger flaring. She scolded him, "What are you laughing at, you child of a witch? Do you know that your birth brings me nothing good? It's a pity I can't do anything to you. But don't you forget, we live under the same roof. I'll make sure you don't have a happy life in this house." She cursed the baby, even though it was just a newborn and surely couldn't understand anything. In fact, it even laughed gleefully, as if finding it all quite amusing. He began to babble, making innocent sounds that didn't form words, which only irritated Concubine Lian more. She returned him to the cradle and quickly left. But just as she lowered her hand a little, before she could even put him back in place, she suddenly saw his mouth move. A voice came from somewhere, startling her. "You must die, you definitely must die." Concubine Lian gasped, thinking the voice came from the baby's mouth, so much so that her hands dropped, letting him fall into the cradle. Luckily, the distance wasn't too great, so the baby wasn't hurt, but she was still shaken. Standing by the cradle, Concubine Lian's limbs were stiff, her mouth wide open, her eyes staring at the baby now sitting and crying in the cradle. Concubine Lian truly couldn't believe that the words had just come from the baby's mouth. Yet she clearly believed she saw his mouth move. Concubine Lian nervously looked around the room. There were 2 rooms separated by a curtain, but there was absolutely no one else there. She suddenly felt someone pull her out of the room and slam the door shut, making her jump and fall to the ground. Behind the curtain separating the first wife's bed from the cradle, a shadow flickered past, making Concubine Lian's hair stand on end. She turned to look at the curtain but saw nothing strange. It was as if someone else besides her and the baby was in the room very close to her. The baby's crying suddenly stopped, as if that person had just comforted him. Concubine Lian, confused, slowly turned back around. Oh my, right next to the cradle was a woman, or rather, a young girl. It was not the first wife. She wore tattered clothes, revealing much of her body. And the most terrifying thing was her abdomen, torn open like a ghastly wound, making Concubine Lian lose her soul. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her entire body went limp, falling to the floor, unable to scream. Across from her, the girl reached out, picked up the baby, her mouth moving, speaking in an ominous voice as if from another realm. Come back to your mother, my child." Concubine Leon saw the girl hug the baby to her chest and sing a lullaby, while from her torn abdomen, thick, dark blood continuously poured out. Terrified by the scene unfolding in the room, Concubine Leon could only slap her own face to see if this was a nightmare, but no matter how much she slapped, she couldn't wake up. And things didn't stop there. Concubine Leon felt there was still someone else in the room, and she nervously looked towards the other side of the room, through the hazy curtain. To her horror, there wasn't just one, but dozens of other shadowy figures walking slowly. They were moving towards this side of the room and appearing one by one before Concubine Leon's eyes. The terrifying thing was that their appearances were all identical to the girl with the torn abdomen. Seeing dozens of young girls with different faces, all in utterly gruesome states, Concubine Leon couldn't take it anymore. She forced herself to stand up, turned her back, and fled as fast as she could, muttering in panic, "Oh my God, there are ghosts, there are ghosts." She stumbled out of the room just as the first wife returned, looking distraught, having heard the baby crying. The first wife quickly grabbed her. "Hey, what are you doing running out of my room like that? Why is the baby crying?" "Sister, there are ghosts in your room, so many ghosts. The baby is a ghost's child." "What are you talking about? Ghosts? My child is not a ghost. You must be sick. There are many ghosts in your room, truly, they're all women. They're all torn open, looking horrific. She even picked up a ghost child and said it was hers." "Sister, it's terrifying to look at. If you don't believe me, go in and see for yourself." When Old Man Kai's concubine Leon said this, the first wife was horrified, but she also felt something was unreasonable. She knew this concubine was always jealous of her, so she was suspicious. "Don't try to play tricks, all right? No matter what, my child is just a baby. Doing something like this is not good. My goodness, what kind of trick would I gain from this, sister? Go in and see for yourself. I'll stand out here and wait. I wouldn't dare go in there." The first wife hesitated, then went inside. Concubine Leon stood outside the door, trembling, waiting to see what would happen. She expected the first wife to come rushing out, terrified just like she had. But no, she walked out calmly and said, "I think you're being ridiculous. The baby is sleeping soundly. There's nothing there. I know you don't like me, but don't cause trouble for no reason." Seeing the first wife's perfectly normal expression, Concubine Leon seemed unable to believe her eyes, stammering, speechless. She seemed not to care what the first wife said, just glanced inside. Part of the room was obscured by the first wife's body, but Concubine Leon still saw a girl standing right next to the cradle, gently swaying it. Yet the first wife said there was nothing inside. Knowing what she was seeing, Concubine Leon dared not linger any longer and quickly grabbed her skirt and fled, not daring to say another word. The first wife stood there, muttering angrily, "Damn you, if you dare do anything to my child." She was about to curse more, then turned to check on her child. But she stopped dead in her tracks when she saw the cradle rocking. She distinctly remembered it was still when she came in, and she herself hadn't touched it. How could the cradle be rocking as if someone was moving it? The first wife suddenly flinched, remembering Concubine Leon's words that there were ghosts in the room, many ghosts even. Near noon, Old Man Kai returned from wherever he had been. He didn't care about anything else and immediately rushed into the first wife's room, hurrying to where the baby was sleeping. He picked up the child tenderly, only then noticing that his first wife's face looked unwell. "What's wrong, dear? Why are you just sitting there? Has the baby been crying this morning?" The first wife shook her head, seeming to want to say something. Old Man Kai understood and gestured. "What do you want, dear? Just tell me. I'm worried about you. As long as you take good care of our child, that's all that matters." The first wife suddenly stood up and said something that greatly surprised Old Man Kai. Perhaps you could move me to another room, this room." Why do you want to change rooms? This room is still perfectly fine. I don't mind anything, but there's no need to do that. What's wrong with this room?" "This morning, I just felt something strange. Ever since Concubine Leon came here and then ran out of the room, she said there were ghosts in my room." "Did she say that? What was she doing in here anyway? No one knows. This morning, I went out for a bit and didn't lock the door. I heard the baby crying, I came back, and I saw her standing right in the room. She said she saw ghosts in here, many ghosts. And then she even said the baby was a ghost's child, which is terrifying." "What nonsense are you talking about? Ghosts? What nonsense? She's probably just jealous that you had a child with me, so she's playing tricks. What else could it be?" The first wife initially thought the same, but ever since she went back in and saw the cradle rocking, she felt something was off. As for Old Man Kai, his mouth said there were no ghosts, but he himself knew such things were real. Just a while ago, for an entire year, he had experienced the disappearance of pregnant girls. They weren't taken by anyone, but were delivered into the hands of Dr. Mo, although he hadn't seen it directly. A few times Old Man Kai arrived earlier and saw the girls being vaguely led in by something. Dr. Mo even said these people were led by ghosts. Therefore, no ordinary person, other than those he allowed, could see them leaving his house. That was why so many people disappeared without a trace. He certainly didn't believe there were ghosts in his house because before leaving, Dr. Mo had left many talismans and sealed many locations to prevent the vengeful spirits of the girls from returning. He told his first wife, "If you want, I'll have someone build another room for you. And since you just gave birth, moving to a new place is also a good thing." "You'll really do that, dear? Tonight, can I sleep with you in your private room? I don't want to stay here." Old Man Kai thought for a moment, then nodded. After all, his wife had just given birth to his son. How could he refuse her small request? And so, that night, he and his first wife took their child to his private room and slept there. In the middle of the night, he woke up to urinate. Before going, he went to the cradle to check on his child. But then he saw the cradle was empty. He panicked, turning to see if his first wife was still there, but she was gone too. His fear and confusion lessened slightly, as he assumed his wife had taken the baby out, probably to the restroom. He clicked his tongue, muttering about how scared he had been, thinking something terrible had happened. He left the room and hurried to the back to relieve himself. But as he stood there, he heard a child's laughter somewhere, which surprised him a little. He glanced towards the first wife's room because the laughter came from there. He thought to himself, why is she taking the baby back there at this hour? Old Man Kai found it strange because she had demanded to move to another room this morning, and now she had brought the baby back to that room. He didn't understand why. Curious, he went to check. Indeed, he heard a child's laughter. Wife, are you in there? Open the door for me." The child's laughter rang out again, but no one answered. He continued to call, "Wife, open the door for me. What are you two doing in there?" As he finished speaking, he heard continuous giggling from inside the room, as if something very joyful was happening. He didn't understand why his wife and child were being so noisy at this hour. "Oh dear, what are my wife and child doing?" he asked, but there was no reply, only the laughter, and then he realized the door was locked. Old Man Kai was annoyed. He was about to turn away when he suddenly stopped. He heard footsteps pattering inside the room. It sounded like a child's footsteps. Following the footsteps was the playful giggling of a child, surely his newborn son. But this was clearly impossible. The baby hadn't even learned to crawl. How could he run? He stood silently, trying to listen, but the footsteps from inside were still those of a child running around. Feeling something was terribly wrong, Old Man Kai quickly turned and tried to open the door to see who was inside, pushing it hard. The lock immediately broke, and he plunged inside, his face full of panic. But it was pitch black inside. No one was there. The sound of running footsteps and the laughter had completely vanished. Old Man Kai stood rooted to the spot, his face filled with extreme bewilderment, not understanding the strange and eerie events unfolding. In the silent darkness, for a split second, the pattering footsteps echoed again, very close to where Old Man Kai stood. But he saw no one. He looked around in a panic, his whole body turning soft with increasing fear. Then, through the curtains separating the two rooms, Old Man Kai saw several shadowy white figures continuously appearing and disappearing. He also heard the sounds of children running and laughing, many children, not just one. He didn't know what he was experiencing. In his ears, the sounds of running and laughing became increasingly intense, and his body grew numb, losing all sensation. His limbs stiffened. He didn't even realize someone had entered from outside. Old Man Kai gasped when someone touched his arm. He turned to see his first wife holding the baby. Old Man Kai stammered, "What's wrong, dear? You almost killed me. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. What are you doing here? Why did you break the door?" "Where have you been all this time? Were you not here? What was I doing here?" The baby was crying, so I got up. Then, after I changed him, I took him outside to wash. When I came back, I couldn't find you, but you were breaking the door in here. What was I doing?" Old Man Kai stammered, recounting what he had just experienced. His first wife looked terrified. "What did you say, dear? Tell me again." He repeated it, but she shook her head. "No, I'm holding our child right here. How could he be here? And he doesn't even know how to crawl or run. Are you mistaken?" He recalled the recent events, his voice still trembling with fear. "No, I'm not mistaken. Those footsteps were clearly a child's, and he was laughing in this room. I'm so scared, dear." His first wife was equally terrified, her voice shaking. "Do you see, dear? There's something in this room. Do you believe me now? Quick, find me another room or even demolish this place. How can we live like this? Tomorrow, I'll invite a shaman to cleanse the house." Her husband listened, but old man Kai suddenly snapped. "No, absolutely not. My family has never invited shamans or sorcerers for generations. If you expose this to them, I'll lose all face. No, this matter, let me handle it. I absolutely forbid you from inviting any shamans, understand?" The first wife was so scared that she could only nod. But old man Kai's outburst left her truly bewildered. She didn't understand why he was suddenly so angry. As for old man Kai, his anger was because before Dr. Mo left, he had warned him, "Absolutely do not allow any sorcerers or shamans to approach this place." This was because many young pregnant girls had died within the confines of this house. If those people entered, his deeds would inevitably be exposed, sooner or later. That's why he could only investigate himself if there was a problem. Specifically, the location where Dr. Mo had pointed out for the enchantments. Perhaps they had shifted, causing these supernatural phenomena to occur in the house. Old man Kai didn't know that outside the gate, not far away from behind a corner, someone was standing, watching his house and muttering with a smirk. "Half of his fortune, did you really think that's what I truly wanted? You're utterly foolish. Just wait and receive your own death." That person was none other than Dr. Mo. It turned out he hadn't left at all, but was merely hiding in the vicinity. Behind him, two other figures appeared, the two murderers from the cellar. One of them, still bewildered, said, "Master, I still don't understand why we have to do this. If it's exposed, we won't be able to live in peace for long. If we just let things be, the family would still have their karma. Why did you have to intervene?" "I know you two are wondering about this. Everything is preordained, I will tell you both. Actually, I had to do this for two reasons. First, to avenge what that family has done to ours. The day has come for them to pay. You are right. Initially, I thought they had truly accumulated enough karma, so I didn't need to personally intervene. Such bloodshed would also bring heavy karma upon our family, but I was forced to do it. It's because they haven't accumulated enough karma as you think. According to my calculations, even if we didn't intervene, he would still have a child. That's why I pitied them." The two men were stunned, their fists clenching. It turned out that their mortal enemy had not accumulated enough karma as they thought. They looked at the house, a cold, ruthless smile spreading across their lips. A short while later, old man Kai had a new room built. It was quite spacious, divided into two sections, one section for the adults to rest and the other for the children. The Kai family had always done things this way. Even a newborn would not sleep near its parents, so it could learn to be independent early. That's why the room was divided into two sections from the moment the child was born. During the time they didn't have a new room, nothing unusual happened, and old man Kai and his first wife felt relieved. However, when they moved into the new room, everything started again. That night, as he slept, old man Kai suddenly heard the sound of the door rattling in the room, but it took him a long time to fully wake up and open his eyes. Darkness had enveloped everything, with only a few slivers of moonlight filtering in, allowing him to vaguely see some things. He couldn't see clearly, but he could distinctly hear the familiar sound, the clattering of the wooden cradle. He quickly sat up, his eyes straining to look towards the other section, separated by a hazy curtain. The window there had been opened at some point. Bright moonlight streamed in, illuminating the cradle and the baby. Old man Kai did indeed see it shaking, but what caught his attention more was the shadowy figure standing beside it. He was terrified, stammering a question, his voice caught in his throat. Who's there?" The figure on the other side seemed to ignore him, standing still and continuing to rock the baby's cradle. The clattering sound continued. Old man Kai on his side was too scared and quickly woke his first wife. Wife, wake up, dear." He touched his wife's body, and he was even more terrified when he felt her body was ice cold, even rigid like a corpse. Before he could think any further, a lullaby echoed from the other room. Old Man Kai's heart thumped as if it had stopped. Hearing the eerie, cold lullaby, his entire body trembled uncontrollably. He looked back towards the cradle. The baby had woken up at some point. Its tiny hands clutched the wooden bars, trying to sit up, turning its face towards the shadowy figure standing beside it, not towards him. The baby reached out, and a hand took it and gently lifted it. Old Man Kai, seeing this, was extremely afraid. Then he wanted to scream again when he saw the figure forcefully throw his child onto the floor. A loud thud echoed. It was the sound of the baby's body hitting the ground. Old Man Kai leaped out of bed, screaming, "Stop it! Stop it!" He rushed forward, pulling the curtain aside, but saw no one there. Yet the baby was indeed lying on the floor, but seemed unharmed. Its hands pressed against the ground, it looked up at Old Man Kai with innocent eyes. Old Man Kai didn't understand what was happening, but the boy had clearly been thrown to the ground, yet he was perfectly fine, not crying at all. The child unexpectedly crawled towards Old Man Kai, who watched with surprise. He didn't know how children developed, but he was delighted that his son, only a few months old, could crawl. And he was crawling towards him, his mouth giggling. Old Man Kai reached out to welcome his son and said, "Come here, come to Daddy?" He knelt down, expecting the baby to crawl to him, but no. The child suddenly darted to one side and continued to crawl past the curtain. Old Man Kai was so surprised that he could only sit there, dumbfounded, watching. Until the child crawled to the other side, disappearing behind the curtain, and then Old Man Kai's entire body went limp. He saw two pale white hands reach down and pick it up. He saw the figure of a girl standing behind the curtain. Although unclear, the image imprinted on it was clearly that of a human shadow. Old Man Kai was terrified, wanting to scream, but his throat felt as if someone had choked it, preventing any sound from escaping. As he focused on the shadow, Old Man Kai didn't realize that behind him, another shadow was approaching. When the dark shadow drew near, reaching right behind him, Old Man Kai felt a chilling cold run down his spine, a shudder encompassing him. His thoughts raced, realizing someone was behind him. He spun around, but only halfway, he was stopped by a cold hand on his shoulder, preventing him from moving. He lowered his gaze to his shoulder, and indeed, a hand was gripping it. It was a slender hand with long, bony fingers, eerily pale. The fingertips had sharp, pointed nails. Just looking at it, he felt it could tear his skin if it just touched him. The hand clutched his shoulder, and from behind him, a face slowly emerged. But all Old Man Kai saw was a mass of dark black hair, accompanied by a terrifying voice. "Don't turn around. You don't want to see me. If you see it, you will die." The words made Old Man Kai, despite his earlier bravery, dare not turn around. From the front, the child's giggling laughter made him quickly turn his face back. The figure beyond the curtain was gone. His eyes saw his little son crawling on the ground, still laughing innocently as he crawled towards this side. Watching the boy crawl towards him, Old Man Kai was terrified, wanting to run away, but the hand behind him held him, making him unable to move. From behind him, the voice spoke again, come to mother, my child." The child laughed, then wiggled to one side, crawling behind Old Man Kai. Though very curious, Old Man Kai absolutely had no courage left to turn around. Then he felt the baby press its two tiny hands onto his back. It seemed to be trying to stand up, then pressed its entire body against his, climbing up, its tiny voice emanating from his neck, finally saying, "You must die. You must pay, old man. Wake up, old man. Why are you sleeping here, old man?" Old Man Kai startled awake, his eyes wide open, hearing his first wife's loud calls. He sat bolt upright, his body trembling uncontrollably. His first wife, seeing him asleep in such a state in the middle of the night, was already alarmed, but his expression now terrified her even more. She stammered, "What's wrong, dear? Don't scare me." Old Man Kai looked around wildly, as if searching for something. "What are you looking for, dear? Where is it? Where is it?" "What is it? Where is it? It's right here. The baby, you mean? He's behind you, dear." Hearing this, Old Man Kai flinched, quickly turning around, but there was no child behind him. His first wife's words meant the child was still in the cradle. Seeing his fear, his wife's heart filled with worry. "What's wrong? Our child is just lying in the cradle." Just as she said that, they both heard the baby crying in the cradle. His first wife quickly went to pick up the baby to comfort him. Old Man Kai clenched his fists, his eyes filled with terror. His wife carried the baby on her shoulder, continuously soothing him. the little one stopped crying and turned to look at his father sitting on the floor. As usual, seeing his father, he laughed happily. But the child's hearty laughter only made Old Man Kai increasingly scared. He dared not look any longer. He quickly said, "All right, you stay here and take care of the child. I'm going back to the other room. I can't sleep here." Before his wife could reply, he stood up and ran off. His first wife considered stopping him, then decided against it, continuing to help her child sleep. She noticed that ever since Old Man Kai left, the child hadn't laughed again. He remained silent on his mother's shoulder, falling asleep at some point. After having a child, Old Man Kai thought that losing half his fortune was insignificant. And according to Dr. Mo's words, his family would no longer have to worry about continuing the family line. But no, after the child was born, he had to endure true horrors for a while. For a prolonged period, almost every night, he would see someone holding the child, singing by the window, then throwing it to the ground. But everything seemed to be an illusion, because the next morning he would find his child normal. Short days passed, but nights felt endlessly long. For a long time, he dared not sleep with his first wife or even visit his concubines because ghosts appeared every night. Only when he was in his private room could he find peace. But the fear still enveloped him, preventing him from sleeping a single night. Old Man Kai was now emaciated, looking as if he had been starved for a long time. His eye sockets were deep and sunken, his face yellowish, his jaw visibly protruding. During his time in his private room, Old Man Kai didn't directly see the horrors, but that didn't mean he could sleep soundly, because he still heard lullabies, the child's giggling, and the sound of running and jumping somewhere. Those sounds made him fear that at any moment, those terrifying things would burst open the door and enter. And indeed, that happened. This time, he was still sitting trembling on his bed, looking around cautiously. Many times, he wanted to invite a shaman to protect his house, but he always remembered Dr. Mo's warning and dared not. So he clenched his teeth and endured. Partly because Dr. Mo had warned him and had placed enchantments, but also because some spiritual issues in the house were common, and he just needed to endure until the child could speak, then everything would completely end. Besides, he also feared that if his deeds were exposed, he would be ruined, a fate worse than death, which he could never accept. As he sat listening for any strange sounds, he suddenly lost focus, thinking about those things, and didn't notice that a shadowy figure had appeared at his doorway. Around him, there were sounds of children running and jumping, and dark clouds gathered from nowhere, thunder rumbling, splitting the ears. The sound of thunder startled Old Man Kai, making him flinch. He looked towards the bedroom door. There, after each flash of lightning, Old Man Kai saw a shadowy figure reflected on the door, cast inward, because the door was covered with a white curtain, not entirely made of wood. And from the back of the house, the sound of children's footsteps running wildly. Along the wall, running towards the front, he saw nothing else, but he heard a woman's voice, a terrifying voice. "It's going to rain, children, come inside." As soon as the voice stopped, Old Man Kai quickly retreated deep into his bed, curling up, his eyes wide with fear, staring at the window. He didn't know if it was blown by the wind or if someone had touched it, causing it to creak loudly. Hiding under the blankets, deep in his bed, Old Man Kai continued to hear voices. But this time, it was a child's voice. "Mommy, lock the door. I can't open it." "Let me open it for you. Let me open it for you, child." Hearing those voices, Old Man Kai sat on the bed, shaking his head frantically. He stammered, wanting to scream, but the words couldn't help him stop the mother and child outside. With a dry crack, the bedroom door burst open. He trembled convulsively. Two figures, one large, one small, were now imprinted on the floor. Old Man Kai immediately saw the mother and child enter, while he could only sit still, his eyes wide with terror, trembling. After a few blinks, he saw someone appear here, but it was just a child. However, on the floor there were still two small shadows. The child turned towards the bed, looked at Old Man Kai, then looked to the side. He pointed at Old Man Kai. "Mommy, he's going to die. He's going to die, isn't he, Mommy?" Old Man Kai heard no reply, so the child said again, "Someone is going to die soon. That person has to pay for Mommy and me. How happy." On the bed at this moment, Old Man Kai was scared out of his wits, his bladder emptying, soaking his pants. He stammered, "Ghost, are you a ghost? Are you a ghost?" The child giggled, then continued, "Mommy, he sees us. He sees us and he's going to die." Terrifying words echoed repeatedly. They haunted him, making Old Man Kai truly unable to bear it anymore. and he had a wildly insane thought: he would rush out of this room even if the ghosts were blocking the door. But besides this, he had no other way to escape. So, with a bit of clarity, he gathered his courage and bolted, running away. But tragically, the eerie child, with a blink of an eye, was already standing right in front of him. "Mommy, he wants to run," then it giggled. Old Man Kai was now completely terrified, almost losing all hope. And then another insane idea came to him. He suddenly lunged and grabbed the child. Just as he wanted, he could grab it like a living, breathing person. Without hesitation, Old Man Kai grabbed a chair and slammed it hard onto the head of this monstrous creature. "Die, you ghost. You can't kill me, I will kill you." Lightning continuously struck, thunder rumbling so loudly it hurt his ears. In the room, Old Man Kai was frantically hitting the child's head with the chair, but it showed no sign of pain. Instead, it grinned as if challenging him. He continued hitting and shouting, "Damn you, you ghost. Do you think I can't do anything to you? I'll kill you." The sound of his shouting and destruction quickly attracted the attention of many. In the middle of the night, his wives and concubines rushed over, along with the servants. But as soon as they arrived, they all fainted, screaming. Some quickly ran away when they saw the old man using a chair to beat a cat's corpse to a bloody pulp. Realizing people were around, Old Man Kai stopped, turning his blood-soaked face towards them, his eyes wide with a crazed, insane look. His face was now utterly horrifying, covered in the cat's blood. His first wife, seeing this, recoiled in disgust. "My God, what are you doing, dear?" Looking at the crowd, Old Man Kai turned back, his eyes also showing surprise, because on the floor now was only the black cat's mangled corpse. Old Man Kai was terrified because just moments ago, it had clearly been a child. But outside, his son, who now could walk, had appeared from nowhere, hiding behind his first wife's legs, looking inside with strange eyes and a creepy smile. Seeing him, Old Man Kai was so scared that he threw the chair away and stood up, fleeing to who knows where. When the servants thoroughly searched the mansion, they discovered the door to a hidden underground room that had been open for some time. No one knew when it had appeared there. Perhaps it had been left by an ancestor and used for some purpose. Seeing it open, everyone guessed Old Man Kai was down there, so they went down. But upon reaching the bottom, an extremely foul odor emanated from inside, making everyone grimace. The cellar was lit under their astonished gazes. They never expected such a place to exist there. Deep inside, everyone could hear a man's voice, trembling sounds. "Get away! Get out, ghost! Get out, ghost!" Recognizing Old Man Kai's voice, his wife and the others quickly rushed further inside. But they stumbled upon another door, opening into another hidden underground chamber. The women screamed, one by one falling backward, then turning and fleeing. Inside the hidden chamber, the putrid smell was so strong that everyone felt like they would faint. The servants tried to push forward to see what was inside. And then they realized that inside, Old Man Kai was cowering in a corner, muttering, trying to ward off something unknown. But it was what surrounded him that was truly horrifying. All around Old Man Kai were corpses. They were almost completely decomposed. Corpses lay strewn about, many piled on top of each other. The hidden chamber was like a mass grave, a sight too horrific for any normal person to endure. Everyone ran back upstairs, screaming, some constantly falling, soiling their pants, stumbling and crawling, trying to escape a place that was nothing short of a living hell. Just then, the district governor, who had also arrived at Old Man Kai's house, questioned him about the origin of the corpses. All were women, but Old Man Kai was now like a madman, unable to answer anything. However, it didn't take long. Just a few days later, the families of the missing pregnant girls confirmed that the deceased were indeed their daughters or wives. A terrifying truth was exposed, but no one could understand why. Why had Old Man Kai committed such barbaric acts? No one knew why he killed people, as they never thought that those girls were the medicine he consumed to have a child. With such heinous crimes, Old Man Kai could not escape imprisonment. During his trial, Old Man Kai seemed like a man gone mad. Every night in his cell, he would be heard screaming, chasing away something, until the day he was brought out for judgment. When the soldiers came to escort the prisoner, they found Old Man Kai holding a very sharp knife, lying dead in a pool of his own blood. Despite the soldiers asserting that they had taken turns checking on him all night and found him alive and normal, the reason why he killed so many people and how he managed to capture them remained an unsolved mystery. Then an old man appeared, walking past, and upon hearing the story, he stroked his beard and said, "Old Man Kai's misfortune was all preordained. Perhaps he was subjected to a brutal and wicked revenge." The villagers also believed these words and gossiped among themselves because not only Old Man Kai, but his ancestors before him had always been detested by others. Many had even harbored deep grudges, so being avenged was an understandable outcome. As for the son born to Old Man Kai and his first wife, he only lived for a few months before suddenly dying. And thus, a wealthy family officially faced extinction. No one was left to continue their bloodline. Their money and possessions now were merely like grains of sand for others to exploit. On a dusty path, a young boy asked the old man walking beside him, "Master, I still wonder, if the one who harmed that old man only wanted revenge, why did he need to kill so many people? 100 pregnant women. How could he be so cruel?" The old man listened to his student's question, stroked his beard, and nodded, replying, "Because from the very beginning his purpose was not merely revenge. Killing 100 lives surely had another reason. Since ancient times, sorcerers have always created many charms and spells, forged from human lives. And charms made from pregnant women are even more sinister. I fear a storm is about to break, young one."